Hello, my name is Angie Lee-Foster. I'm a Buddhist and a mindfulness teacher. I've always loved words and writing, trying to use the slippery yet rich instrument of language to capture the beauty and the complexity of life. At the end of last year, one of the most difficult years, I turned to writing haiku. The writer Natalie Goldberg said, "Haiku is a refuge when the world seems chaotic, when you're lost, frightened, and nothing is clear." So at this time, haiku seemed the perfect medium. Not popularized in the West until the early 1900s, the haiku originates from the Japanese haiku, or the opening section of a longer renga poem, introducing it by establishing a season. Unlike the rest of the renga sequence, which was usually composed collaboratively, the haiku was often created by a single poet working alone, and over time the haiku began to be appreciated for its own worth and became the distinct poetic form we now know as haiku. My interest in haiku stems from my Buddhist practice and my love of language. Zen Buddhism originated in Japan, and it's concerned with the cultivation of a profound down-to-earthness. Haiku, if you like, are the expression of a literary Zen. But what's this got to do with walking, you might ask? Well, the natural world is common ground for haiku poets, and emerges from Japanese culture grounded in nature and seasons. Haikus are often imbued with seasonal images or images of weather or wildlife. Japanese-based summer haikus might include fireflies or mosquitoes. Autumn haikus might refer to the moon, chrysanthemums or falling leaves. And winter ones might include snow, owls or eagles. Of course, writing haikus in the UK, our references will be different. Daffodils, sweet peas, acorns, conkers, frost, drizzle, mist and clouds. These season words, or kaigo, help situate the poem. Haikus ask us to pay attention to the nature of change around us, to the beauty, to the simplicity of life. The writer Allen Ginsberg said, "The only real measure of a haiku is that upon hearing it, your mind experiences a small sensation of space." Here's a haiku by famous Japanese poet Buson. I'll read it twice, as is the tradition. Ah, grief and sadness. The fishing line trembles in the autumn breeze. Ah, grief and sadness. The fishing line trembles in the autumn breeze. In its original Japanese form, the haiku is often divided into 17 mora, a Japanese unit of syllable weight, and it's arranged in a single vertical line. But in English there's no exact equivalent to this, and as a result it's been adapted into 3 lines of unrhymed verse composed of 5, 7 and 5 syllables. But essence is more important than form, I think. Despite its many adaptations, the haiku still remains a very powerful form of poetry due to its careful and sparse choice of language to evoke a specific mood, capturing the essence of a moment. Here's a haiku by Shiki. Peeling a pear, a trickle of sweet juice along the blade. Peeling a pear, a trickle of sweet juice along the blade. Haiku has evolved over time and place. Here's a more modern haiku written by a British schoolgirl, Gracie Starkey, which won a coveted prize in Japan. Freshly mown grass, clinging to my shoes, my muddled thoughts. Freshly mown grass, clinging to my shoes, my muddled thoughts. The haiku has a quality that allows the writer to express themselves with liberating simplicity. It's so sparse, yet so carefully woven, it allows the reader to use their own imagination, which brings forth an emotional response. A haiku often brings to life an intensity of feeling, whilst also remaining natural and uncontrived. It cultivates a heightened, yet relaxed sensitivity. Just like nature often evoked in the haiku, our emotions arise, change, and pass away in response to hearing it, and yet with something having transformed as well. The English translator of haiku, R.H. Blythe, once noted, "The true subject of a haiku is never mentioned in the haiku. It's what a haiku implies that makes it great or worthless." In other words, what's left unexpressed gives it its poignancy, and the reader is left with a moment of realization. Here's a haiku by Issa. Thus spring begins, old stupidities repeated, new errors invented. Thus spring begins, old stupidities repeated, new errors invented. Haikus are the poetic revelations, if you like, which we have about our ordinary, everyday lives. The simple details that appear to us as insights in a moment's flash, like an intake of breath. In a haiku, we are directly present in the moment, and anyone reading it or hearing it will also be in that moment with us. Haiku is a shared experience. Writing a haiku begins with an experience of what is happening right here and right now. It captures the moment we see the world just as it is. It manages to connect to what is true for all of us, a glimpse into insight. Here's a haiku I wrote recently. Nature's greatest trick is spring emerging each year, magician of life. Nature's greatest trick is spring emerging each year, magician of life. Some haikus may have a cutting line or word, a paradoxical eye-opener, a kireji. Take this from Issa. Those two tired dolls in the corner. Ah, yes, they are man and wife. Those two tired dolls in the corner. Ah, yes, they are man and wife. So, on your walk today, I'm going to ask you to walk with a view to writing a haiku. In this way, our walk becomes a mindfulness practice. We use our senses to become alert to our environment and our experiences, thoughts, emotions, and sensations as they arise. And somehow, we open up space to allow words to arise that capture this moment in time, or even something timeless. Notice the weather, your emotions, the big things, the small things, the sky, the insects, the litter, the grass, the sights, the smells, all the beautiful and the ordinary. Try to stay out of your overthinking head and let the words come from your heart, your direct experience, because all words are just a translation of direct experience. Slow down. Slow down. William Blake once said, "We need to cleanse the doors of perception and let reality flood in. So slow down enough to let reality flood in." Attend to your experience. What is it revealing to you? Notice what's happening while it's happening. It's not about finding the words, but just looking and letting the words arise. And if words do come to mind, you can stop and record them on your phone or write them down if you have a pen and paper with you. You may find yourself counting on your fingers, 5, 7, 5, but don't get too hung up on the syllable count. Go for the essence of what you're trying to express. Haiku writer Brian Tasker said, "Don't cling either to the deliciousness of the moment. Just let spontaneity arise, let the words spring out of that particular moment." Our whole life is made up of moments. Everything happens now. Nothing happens outside of now. And our moments are utterly complete, just as they are. All we need to do is to get out of the way. As 13th century Zen master Dogen observed, when the self withdraws, the 10,000 things advance. When the self advances, the 10,000 things withdraw. So like a beautiful painting created with just a few strokes, allow your haiku to bring itself to life and breathe. Like the delicate beauty and precision of Japanese calligraphy, a tea ceremony, or a Zen garden, the goal is not to write the perfect haiku, but to be in touch with our experience more clearly and allow that feeling, perception and connectedness to flow into just enough words. R.H. Blythe described haikus as temporary enlightenment, and so, with that inspiration, I leave you with a modern haiku by Lynn Reeves. On the blank page, the stumbling bee inscribes a message in gold. On the blank page, the stumbling bee inscribes a message in gold.